There's the meeting over. Okay, roll call please. John Carroll.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, it's okay. You're right. You're right. It's roll call first.
Cindy Johansson. Waiting for that. Nancy McCarthy.
Present.
Curtis Robinson here. Meryl Minzer.
Here.
Jill Sartori.
Here.
Patty Garbarino.
Here.
Lido Pan.
Present. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve and adopt the agenda? No.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. We'll move on to public comment. Before that, I want to tell everybody, please, when you speak, to lean into your microphones. They're, you know, everybody at the table has a mic. Okay, any public comment today?
There's no public comment.
No public comment, okay. Any public comment on consent agenda items or any other?
No public.
Okay, then we'll move along to the consent agenda. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
I would say.
Did everyone vote on the consent agenda?
yes.
One abstention.
And the rest. Approvals? Okay, so,
Marilyn,
yes,
I'm so sorry. I'm terrible at interrupting. I just wanted to thank the chefs before they left.
oh, yes.
Oh, look what they did. Everything is amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Patty. That was a great intro. Okay, we have approval of minutes. Oh, that's also consent agenda. Okay, Marin County Superintendent of Schools reports.
Great, and I will keep this very short. We've had a very long day already and some interesting things coming up. So just a brief word about board professional development. I'm happy to say that Cindy and I will be attending the CSBA conference in Sacramento and hearing about a variety of different things. We're also going to be talking about encouraging board members to participate in additional professional development over the next year. So trying to up that a little bit. And I'm very excited to go to CSBA, especially because there's a workforce housing demystified session featuring Derek Nell as the guest speaker. Derek is a former board member in Nevada and also is now the Nevada director of housing, and he's had a pivotal role in educated workforce housing development. So he and our own Robin Pendle will be there presenting, and we should learn a lot at CSBA. I haven't been in several years. So I'm excited to go, and hopefully next year we'll bring a team. There'll be several other trustees from throughout Marin and other Marin superintendents attending that as well. We are excited to have begun the process of deploying a system called Share 911 to all of our MCBE devices. This is an enhanced emergency communication tool that helps to inform staff of any threats or the need for assistance in some cases, and it will notify law enforcement and fire as needed. It's been used by several districts throughout California and in Marin County. I'm not sure how many in Marin are using it, but a lot. It's a fairly common thing, and I think Jennifer, and I need to put you on the spot, but it's rolling out. It's in process right now, correct? Yeah, so we're moving forward with that, and we let our bargaining units know about that. We met with one of them. We'll be meeting together to talk about rolling that out, so we'll have access to that important resource. The holiday retiree celebration is coming up, and that is going to be on December 10th, 2025 at MCBE, and you're all invited. I hope you can attend. It will be a festive event to celebrate the holidays, and families are invited. So it's always really nice because there's usually a lot of kids running around, which is a good thing. It's at 3:30 to 5. So, you know, I know
That is correct, 3:30.
5. I have another thing at 6, so I got to make sure we know it is by 5. So I check it to my calendar. There's also a toy drive sponsored by the Marin Child Care Council, and it's a wonderful event. We set up a table outside the superintendent's office, and we've gotten great donations to go to children throughout Marin County for the holidays. So that's all I got.
What is the date of the CSBA conference?
December
Third through fifth.
first through fifth.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
So it was over.
It's in Sacramento. Cindy, thanks.
Thank you very much. And now for 0.02, Walker Creek Ranch operations, construction and programming updates. Adam Jennings.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm so glad that you had the opportunity to come and spend time with me today at the ranch. You get to participate in, being in some of our buildings and, learning a little bit about more, some already know a lot about it, about the program. And this is such an important part of what we do at MCOE. And my role, or among my roles here at MCOE, is to support Patrick and the Walker Creek staff in continuing to develop and grow this program. But again, it's really such a core part of what we do with MCOE. In my prior role, I was a superintendent in the Shoreline Unified School District, and one of the core skills I think that we really tried to instill in our educational program was outdoor experiential learning. And a key part of our outdoor experiential learning program was our 5th grade students coming to Walker Creek. And I had many opportunities to send high school students and elementary school students, talk with their parents, talk with their teachers about the experiences that they had. And to a person every time they came back, just better and happier because of the joy that they experienced and the learning experience of Walker Creek. So it just makes me doubly proud to be able to support this program now. Our presentation today, let's go to the next slide. It'll start by taking you back. This is an annual visit for you, and we'll take you back to your last visit. And I'll talk about some of the goals that were established at that time. And I'll give you an update on how we're doing so far on those goals, or how did we do on those goals over the past year. We'll also give you a little bit of the state of where Walker Creek is right now in its programs and its development. And then most excitingly, I think it'll talk about where we're going in the future and our goals for next year and beyond, and how we hope to achieve those. I'm going to turn it over here in a second to Patrick. Before I do, I want to introduce some of the staff that is here. We've got Victor, who you've already met, and you're enjoying his culinary delights. We've got Chris, our assistant ranch manager. We've got Laura, who is our new conference manager, and we've got Rowan, who is our manager of the outdoor school program. And we've also got our newest goat, Arlo. He's also new since you were there last, and so I want to make sure you have a chance to say hi to him. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick, who's our ranch manager, who's going to take us on a tour of Walker Creek. Figuratively, sorry, Stacy.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. The one other person that we did introduce is Jasmine,
Oh, yes.
who's our food service manager, and she's down in the kitchen right now getting food ready for our students. We have about 150 students that arrived today, so our first meal is tonight dinner, and we'll be having spaghetti with meatballs. If anyone is still hungry after that spread, you're welcome to join us for dinner as well. So as Adam mentioned, our presentation, we're gonna be focusing on what our goals were last year, kind of reviewing those and see how we did. And talk about goals moving forward. So we can go to the next slide here. All right, so circling back to the goals that we presented to the board in October of 2024. We had goals specific to our outdoor school program. So one of the things that we're working towards is to have 160 students per week that are coming to our outdoor school program. We'll look and see where we're at right now, and we're not quite there yet, but that's a number that we're working towards to get. 32 weeks of 160 students per week is our what we believe to be our optimum enrollment for our outdoor school based on the capacity of this facility as well as the staff that we have. We have another goal of growing our conference program to 35% annual occupancy, and we'll talk a little bit about what occupancy rate means and how we define that. But what we're working towards is that 35% annual occupancy. Another goal that we had last year was to take over our food service department, and I'll be excited to talk to you a little bit about the progress that we've made there. In addition to facilities improvements, and lots of very exciting things to report specific to our facilities improvements this year. But all the while we're working towards sustainability. And the way that we define sustainability is really a balance of program affordability with revenue that we need in order to support our programs. And ultimately, the goal of the structure that we have here is we have a conference division and we have an outdoor school program. And the goal is that we run our outdoor school program at the lowest cost, at the best level of programming that we can offer. And we run a conference program here that helps support and offset some of the costs that are coming with the outdoor school program. So we want to provide the cheapest outdoor school program, the best program, and have a conference program that's helping to support that financially. So we'll go to our next slide here. And we'll have a little bit of a snapshot of kind of the last 4 years. We're starting so we were closed for 2.5 years due to COVID. And since reopening our program, we started just kind of looking back really quickly. We restarted our program in the spring of 2023, which was a pilot program. And we started serving our outdoor groups in our outdoor school and our conference groups. We started in January. Then we ran a full year program in 23-24. And you can see what our numbers look like there, our total revenue as well. Last year was what we refer to as our first transition year after the rebuild. And this is our second transition year. Our goal is to be quote unquote sustainable by our third transition year, based on those number of students and occupancy. So a couple of things to just point out here on how we're looking at the data that we have for our programs. Again, we have one tracking unit that we're following with our outdoor school program, which is this 160 students per week. And so you can kind of see where we've been going. We're hovering around 130 students per week right now. And then we have the occupancy rate in conference, which we believe, based on analysis, if we get to 35%, between 35 and 36% per year, that we will be making money to support the outdoor school program. And you can see that, for example, last year, we achieved that 35% in conference, which is great. Down below here on the bottom level here for our 25-26, those are projected numbers. We're looking at about 135 students per week, and we're projecting about a little over 31% occupancy rate this year for our conference division. And we'll dig into these numbers a little bit more in just a moment. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So kind of to start talking about the specific programs that we have here. So some highlights from our outdoor school program last year. we continue to do curriculum improvements in our program. I feel like we continue to make a better program for kids every year. We've made some adjustments to our anchoring question. We've created some great inclement weather programs too. We do run program when it's raining here. And so making sure that there's still really engaging, lively programming happening for students even when it's raining outside. And just adjustments to our curriculum to ensure that we're meeting the needs of all students is something that we continue to work on. We continue to run special education programs here, and now we're going into our third year of running a special education program for our middle school students for the Marin County Office of Education, which has been really successful. As well as having a program for our campus students that come out for the day, and so that they get an outdoor school program as well. Some other great highlights for outdoor education. Staff retention, we had 4 of our 5 permanent staff come back from last year, and that really helps us continue to build the capacity of our program and ensure that we have a really strong internship program for our interns that are here as well. Additionally, we've received some grants. We received a grant from the Brewster West Foundation of $10,000 last year that we used to support a full scholarship for the Marin or for Martin Luther King Jr. Academy. All of the students from Marin School from the Marin City School were able to come here for free at the beginning of the year, which was really exciting. And we just applied for another fair grant to help get some funding to support with our garden program. We go to the next slide. So some of the data specific to our outdoor school program. Our attendance, total number of students that we're serving since reopening are shown here. You can see the light green bar is our current year projected numbers. So we're looking at serving about 4,200 kids this year. A little bit of a moving target. We typically have about 95% of the students that are enrolled actually come to the outdoor school program. So we definitely have more people on contract, but our projected numbers is about 4,200 students that we believe that will serve. And then you have that projected income as well for that. Some of the takeaways from the data that we're seeing here, you know, we're hovering around 4,200 kids per year, which is about 130 students per week. And again, our goal is to get to 160 per week. So there definitely is some work to be done here to increase enrollment. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the ideas that we have to help improve or increase that enrollment further into the presentation. These are just some pictures of, so we have Walker Creek that runs through the property here, which is a really special watershed. There are coho salmon that are found in that watershed, which is a critically endangered species. And so we have a number of partners that we work with to ensure that we are supporting that habitat. And one of those partners is the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And they actually come out once a year and they release coho salmon into the creek. And so two weeks ago, they were here and we were able to work with the students that we had. We had students from Mill Valley and San Rafael schools that worked with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and were able to do those juvenile releases, which was really cool. So these are just some pictures of that work that was able to be done with those students in conjunction with the CDFW. Moving to our conference. So conference highlights. You know, overall, I think we had a really successful year last year in conference. We were able to meet our goal of that 35% occupancy rate, which resulted in us making some money in that department. Made about $250,000 profit in the 24-25 school year in our conference division. We also took the big step of hiring our conference manager, Laura, over here. And so Laura's was hired just a couple months ago. And we're really excited to work with her to continue to build this division. I wanted to point out just a couple of pictures here at the bottom of the conference highlights. So starting from left to right here, the furthest left is Walker Creek Music Camp, which is a camp that's been running here for over 25 years, which is a school, like a music school that happens over a 3-day weekend, which is really a really cool event that we have here. Wacola Shone is a camp that runs during the summer here. It's been coming here for probably about 20 years. And then we have Milton Marks, which is a new group that we have been serving now for probably maybe 5 or 6 years. And this is a family camp for families that have someone with terminal cancer. And it's a really, really, really special camp that happens here once a year. And I wanted to point these out to you because, you know, the conference division is a really important business part of Walker Creek Ranch in that it supports our outdoor school, but it also is a really important service for our community. And I think it's something that we can be really proud of providing a space for these types of groups to come and to do all kinds of work as well, in addition to helping offset some costs down outdoor school. Go ahead to our next slide. So some data specific to our conference division. So you can see our occupancy rate here. And just to give you a sense, so the to the right here is our current and our projected occupancy rate for 25-26 in our conference. But if you look at 18-19, you can see we were close to 40% occupancy. And so that just gives us a sense of where I think we can go as far as getting that occupancy rate. Now, to talk a little bit about how we measure occupancy rate, basically what we do is we think about having a full campus, which is about 200 people here. So having a group that is completely filling the ranch is about a group of about 200 people. And we would consider that to be 100% occupancy. And then we figure out the number of user nights that we have available. How many conference days do we have available in which we could actually be serving a conference group? And so we use that to come up with a calculation of what percentage, based on those two metrics, of the ranch or is our conference running. So last year we did get above that 35%. We were over 36% occupancy rate is where we ended last year, which is really exciting. Right now we're at about 26% booked right now occupancy rate, though we still have the third and fourth quarter to come. And it's important to note also that in 24-25, when we did this presentation to the board in October of 2024, we were about 26% occupancy rate when we did the presentation, and we ended at over 36%. Now, I don't think we're going to get there again this year, but I am projecting that we're probably going to get another 5% bookings, which would result in the projected revenue for the year in conference of a little over $1.2 million. So our takeaways from the data that I'm seeing right now is that it looks as though we are going to land a little bit under that 35% this year, and that there are a lot of ideas, and we're working with our team to come up with ways to increase conference bookings. And you know, that will be a key responsibility of our new conference manager. And we'll talk a little bit more later in the presentation of what those ideas, some of those ideas meant. We'll go to our next slide. So talking about our food service department. So again, when we did our presentation last year in October, we didn't have a food service department at all. We were using outside catering company to serve all of our students and conference guests. And so since that time, over the last year, we have rebuilt our conference division. We have taken over all of our food service program and are providing food for all of our outdoor school and conference groups at this point. That included hiring a food service manager, hiring permanent cooks and helpers, as well as creating all new systems and procedures and finding vendors and creating budgets and developing menus. So it was big lift for us to do this, and I think that there's a lot to be proud of on the amount of progress that we've made within that department. Obviously, food is a crucial part of the success of the ranch. And so it's really, really important that we do it well and get it right. There's still more work to be done, but I think there's a lot to celebrate. And we'll go to our next slide. And then finally, our facilities improvements. And there has been so much success and excitement around facilities improvements at the ranch over the last year. And so just to provide a little bit, we can go to our next slide here. We recarpeted 12 of our buildings here at the ranch in September. And this is just an example here of the Willow Lodge kind of during our carpeting and post carpeting. We also, going to our next slide, we're able to re-roof 12 buildings in September as well, and provide new gutters to 8 of our buildings here at the ranch. This is just a picture here of the creamery residents during and post re-roofing and putting new gutters on that building. Next slide. We were able to, we had painted the dining hall about a year ago, and then this summer we recoated the roof on the dining hall, as well as repaired a section of wall on the dining hall that had been leaking for years. And so we were able to get into that wall, repair it, and kind of put it back together. So that was a really big win for us on the facility side. Next slide. We also, and it's not as exciting, but it is very exciting in the facilities world. We were able to put shut-off valves in all of our buildings, so we can actually isolate our buildings when we have a plumbing issue in our buildings. So that was a really incredible and really important project that we were able to do while we were shut down in September, as well as made some significant improvements to our waste treatment aeration system. So here at the ranch, in case you didn't know, we have our own water system. We have our own drinking water system, and we have our own sewage system here. And so we were able to make some really significant improvements to both of those systems in September of this year. Some other projects that we've been able to do more internally in-house with professional experts and with our staff. We've created new changing stations in all of our cabins for students. So you can see the changing station in the corner here of this room. You can actually see the new carpet as well. So there's changing stations in all of our cabins now for students to change more privately and safely. We have a new water flowing station as well in our dining hall that we've had. And we are in the process of remodeling or refurbishing the Peace Bowl area that's in front of the dining hall. If you do have time to kind of look at it right now, it's pretty close to being done, and which would be a great improvement to the in front of our dining hall, and it's kind of a central location of the ranch, so it's going to be a really nice addition to the ranch as well. And lastly, this has been an ongoing project for a very long time, and that's the Sequoia Lodge. And we've made some pretty significant strides on this project. There was some old bathrooms that had been there for years and years and years. We have now torn down all the bathrooms. We have recarpeted the entire building at this point, and now we just need to button up the side of the building and put some new bathrooms downstairs, and then we can get that lodge back online. So that is going to be a revenue generating building for us once we get it back in place, and we've made some really significant steps in the right direction to get that done. We're hopefully going to have that back on some choices. Great. So just briefly to look at total revenue versus expenses for the ranch since reopening post-COVID. I think that the trends are really positive in the fact that we've really started. We were kind of plateauing up here about $3.5 million, but we are, generating more revenue than expense here at this point. There's certainly more room to grow, but we have really kind of bounced back, I think, since reopening our program.
we're looking at making about $60,000 this year. With those projected growth in the third and fourth quarter. Some takeaways from this. We have kind of gotten to a plateau here. We're making money, as I said. There is still a contribution from the MCOE and our outdoor school program. And we are working to build our conference in order to cover that. There is certainly still growth needed in both outdoor education and conference. But the good news is that there's room for it. There's room in both our outdoor school and our conference to have more business. And so we're excited about that. So this leads us to believe that we're trending in the right direction. And that there is still more work to be done. And so I want to talk a little bit about what that work will look like. So we'll go to our next slide. And so kind of, if we go to our next slide. So goals around outdoor education. Our goal is to increase the number of students that we serve, but we want to do it in a way that's thoughtful so that we can provide the best program for kids. We have this kind of hypothetical idea of 160 students per week is what we're shooting for. Some ways to try to achieve that are having some financial resources to support kids. An example of that is the Brewster West Foundation. Excitingly, we just received another $15,000 from the Brewster West Foundation for supporting scholarships for next year. We just received that yesterday, so we want to look at how best to use that money and to leverage that money the best that we can to support kids, but also to get more kids here, as well as thinking a little bit outside the box. Are there other ways that we can be running programs that are outside of our 4-day, 5th and 6th grade overnight programs? Can we have a 1-day program? Can we have programs for other kids? So kind of differentiating our programs is something that we're thinking about as well. And just getting the word out about our program and what an amazing place this is. One of the things that we're going to be doing in the spring of 2026 is we're partnering with MALT, which is the Marine Agricultural Land Trust, and we're going to have a community day here, which is something we've talked about for a very long time, and that's an opportunity for students to come back with their families and for them to show their families this place and the cabin they stayed at and go out on a hike and just having this be more of a touch point and a place where people know about and want to bring their kids and programs to. So those are some goals around outdoor education. Some goals specific to our conference department. Obviously, the objective is that, if we could go to the next slide, please, is to increase our conference revenue to support our outdoor school program. And so marketing is the big thing that we are going to be focusing on. I think that we really want to make sure that we're marketing to the right people. There is kind of the ideal guest that wants to be here. And so we want to make sure that we're identifying that ideal guest, those ideal groups, and figuring out how best to get information to them to get them on site. We also want to improve our user experience. So when we get people here, we want to make sure that they're having a great experience. They know what they're getting. We're not over promising anything, and that we're giving them a really good experience while they're on site. Ultimately, we want all of our new user groups to become returning groups. And I'd say that traditionally here at the ranch, word of mouth and returning groups has been the majority of the groups that we've been serving. And so we really want to make sure that when we get people on the property, that we're providing them with an experience that they want. Food service goals really quickly, just improving our systems, ensuring that we're doing really good staff development. And now that we're coming to the completion of our first full year, again, we started in January of 25, taking over our food service department. Now that we're completing our first full year, I think that there's an opportunity for us to do a real analysis on food costs versus rates with the business department to make sure that we're
our price point is accurate and we're making the right amount of money for the amount of effort and cost that we're putting into this. Lastly, our facilities goals. We are planning on doing a painting project in the summer of 26. This was identified in the facilities needs analysis that was presented to the board in October of last year. We want to finish that Sequoia Lodge, get it back online, and we want to do some targeted lodging upgrades to improve the guest experience when they're here. And I think we can do that relatively inexpensively with some targeted little tweaks to the lodges to make sure that guest experience is improved on my place. So in conclusion, and thanks for bearing with me, I believe that the data tells us that we're trending in the right direction. I think this is a really exciting time at the ranch. The recent investments, facilities investments that we've put into the ranch will support this growth as we continue forward. It will improve the user experience when they're here. There is more work to be done at the same time, and we're committed to it. We're excited about it. There's a lot more space to fit more groups here and more students here. So that will be our work moving forward into the next year. And the 25-26 goals will guide that work. And with that, I'm available for questions.
I have.
Yes.
First, I would just like to recommend, I don't know what it is, but I got lost coming here, better signage, particularly when you hit that last T and it doesn't say that it's Petaluma Marshall Road.
Yeah.
So I actually went the other direction, but getting better signage, coming here and then getting here. And not only that, I couldn't get it in my GPS. I don't know how you can affect that, but it says directions are not available. But for people that are looking for the place, it's not easy to get here. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I was wondering, couple questions.
Yeah.
How do you get the water? And how do you get the sewage? How is that handled?
Yeah.
And also, what do you do about disciplinary issues if there's problems with kids when they're here?
Yeah.
And what are your main complaints or positives when people leave? Do you do a follow-up to get feedback?
Great. Okay. So water system. So we have wells that are located in the hills here. It's all gravity fed. So we use those wells. It comes down to a treatment building. And I could point that out to you too. If you look up to the right, you can see the holding tanks, and that's all gravity fed into the system here. So it's a pretty sophisticated system. Our waste treatment system, then we have an aeration system, and then we pump all of the treated waste out to spray fields that we spray out, and it actually just absorbs back into the ground. So it's a really kind of a self-contained system that we have here. It's a remnant of Synanon, which was a group here, and they left that infrastructure, and it works pretty well for us. Specific to the discipline system, so we have a check system here that we use, which is a 5-check system. Once we get to a 3rd check with a student, we call home. We actually on the 3rd check, we do a contract where we talk to the student, we get the classroom teacher involved. Once we get to a 4th check, we call home and get the family involved as well. And if we get to a 5th check, then we do send the student.
How often does that happen?
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that frequently. I'd say every month we might send a student home. There's some weeks we'll send several students home, and other weeks that we don't. And but we have a really good discipline system here, I believe, and really a strong involvement of our team to ensure that students are provided supports so that they can have a successful week. So I think we do really well with that and have a really good system in place for that. The biggest complaints from our conference groups, is that what you were asking?
Well, from either the student groups or the conference groups, whatever, what do they think of the shortcomings?
Good question. I think for the outdoor school program, and something that I had written down as a goal of ours, that I didn't highlight, is I think that it's a lot of work for our classroom teachers to get students here. It's a heavy lift. There's just organizing, paperwork, and then when they get their students here, it's still a lot of work for them. So I think the solution for that is to really figure out what are ways that we can support our classroom teachers and to make their job easier, because ultimately it's the classroom teacher that's getting it. One of the things that we started this year was online registration, which I think it's going to be a really great feature of our program, though it's been a little clunky as we're getting the system in place. So I would say that that's one of the areas. It's a lot of work for classroom teachers to not only get the students here, but while they're here as well.
And the compliments,
The compliments.
and what are the most, you know, the.
I mean, this is a life-changing experience for kids. It's a magical place where students get to disconnect from technology, to get to be outside, get to try new things, get out of their comfort zone, make new friends, be successful in a space that's different than a traditional classroom. The outdoor education experience is one that I feel incredibly strongly about, and I see the benefit and they see the benefit of it every single week with these kids. So it's worth the effort.
One last question.
Yeah.
What are the biggest, or are there any like injuries? Is it falling? Is it poison ivy? I mean, what do these kids experience if they're not used to the outside?
Yeah,
outdoors?
well, they're always with their naturalists, and we do a really, really good job of ensuring that students are staying behind their naturalists, that there's a lot of structure when we're getting them outside. You know, poison oak does happen from time to time. The biggest injuries, you know, I think, you know, being homesick is something that's challenging for students. You know, stomach aches, and we're pretty quick to send students, like if we need help, or if there's a student that is injured, we're always going to make decisions, very cautious decisions, to get supports here really quickly. So we're you know, we're pretty good at making sure that students are being safe.
I apologize, one truly last question
Yeah.
is, do you have cell phone coverage here? And are the kids having to bring cell phones? And are you able to have them communicate like parents if they have a homesick issue?
Yeah. So we do not have cell service out here. We have Wi-Fi here, and so Wi-Fi calling. We have phones here. Teachers Lodge has a phone. Students are not bringing cell phones here. It's not permitted. They don't bring any electronics at all. We really discourage them to bring anything very valuable here, just besides clothes that can get dirty. And so this is a, you know, and the positive of that is that students have a real authentic, natural experience. We can call parents if we need to. And so there are times that we'll call parents, or provide an opportunity for students to call home. But we try to really not do that very often unless we really need to.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Cindy.
So Patrick,
Yes.
and to your team, congratulations. I have two kids who came as campers and came back as counselors, and it's really exciting to see the growth. My question's about Marin County
Yeah.
school districts.
Yeah.
Do all of them participate? Do we look at a percentage and a goal of ultimately getting every kid in Marin County?
Yeah.
You know,
So they do not all participate, and it's kind of ebbed and flowed over the years. We serve students from all over the Bay Area. It is absolutely a goal of ours to get all the Marin County kids back here. We do have some other outdoor school programs in the area. And one thing that I found, back to kind of the teachers are the driving force here. There's teachers that just, you know, are used to going to the Marin Headlands, for example. And so that's the outdoor school that they kind of go to. But we're constantly reaching out. We are thinking of ways in order to attract them back. You know, back to the Brewster West Foundation grant. I think that I'd like to think about if there's a way to have a reduced kind of in county rates that we could use some of that fund to do. So we can provide an opportunity for our Monroe County kids to come here cheaper. So yes, it's a big goal, but we don't serve all Marin County kids. I'd have to look again. I think we serve maybe 25 to 30 of the schools. From Marin County. Yeah. Yes, Lee.
What is the cost of a 4-night grade 5 and 6 participation? I think that should
It's a little over $400.
per kid.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Joe, did you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Patrick. Thank you so much. What a great presentation. This space is so special. It really provides an incredible opportunity for kids. Particularly, I love the fact that they come here completely unplugged, experience nature. It's incredible. I have a question about your food service. Do you have any goals related to prioritizing local products and local vendors?
Great question. I would say that the answer to that would be yes. I feel like right now our priority is to just get a good system in place. So we're using Cisco mainly for our food service department right now. We have in the past, pre-COVID, we had a connection with the farmers market that we would go every Thursday and get items from that. And we had some other local vendors that we use. So certainly a goal. I think right now it's just to stabilize that and then to start to think about how we can do it. That's a goal.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the board?
I just wanted to add to that. We did start using Stemple Creek for our hot dogs. Because we could, nobody talked to them, and so we're starting to build those relationships and seeing where we can meet that price point. To keep all this revenue as local as we can, but it's challenging. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question. It was interesting just to note that there was a guy walking around the whole area maybe 15 years ago who had some type of water finding wand to find the well, to dig the well to get the water here. And that was always a fun story. But just for the board, we've always treated Walker Creek as kind of its own cost center if we're looking at the budget and everything. So and then you kind of mentioned 60,000 profit, of 250,000 maybe profit in the conference center. And then you also mentioned grants that you were receiving from the county. So, or at least some type of something from the county that went into your income. Right. So I'm trying to figure out how much money the county is actually giving to you to make you guys good on your balance sheet there. Yeah. And how close are you to becoming actually cost profit?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. So it's around $400,000 that the Marin County Office of Education is contributing to just the outdoor school program. There can't be any contribution to the conference division. That has shifted a little bit in the sense that I think now, and maybe Bree could speak to this as well, is at the end of the year when we kind of look at the final books, we'll use an allocation if needed in order to make that to make us even within the outdoor school program. So I believe last year was a little bit less than that 400, but there still is that contribution there. Does that answer your question?
Kind of, yeah. We'll see how far popular. Plus, we also have added investment every couple of years with improvements, I guess.
For sure. Yeah. The facilities improvement system, and investment.
Yeah. Oh, the last thing is, what about our community school coming out here? Do they come out here?
They do. Yes, they were here just a couple of weeks ago. Actually.
Okay. And for the 4 days, that thing?
They come for just one night. Sure. They just do it overnight.
So maybe why not think of more?
Yeah, I think we would love to have them here longer. I think it's working with them as well on what works for that population student. But right now it's just a one night, but we would be certainly interested in more.
What does Katie think about that, John? Mr. Principal, think about that.
I know she was very positive about them starting to come out here, because I think it was a fairly new idea that they would.
Yeah, there seems to be a server report here that we've done that, yeah.
If I remember, there's this sort of nervousness around it, like, is it gonna work, are they gonna show up?
Yeah.
And she was willing to do it, so in terms of expanding it to do additional nights, I would
Like to see that.
Yeah, I think that we would need to be thoughtful and creative in what the programming looks like. I think that our 5th and 6th grade curriculum might not. It might need to be more of an adventure-based kind of a thing. Maybe there's, I think there could be some camping or something more.
Longer guides.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Hi.
Just want, thank you, Marilyn. I just want to comment that the place shines. As someone who's been lucky enough to come every year for, I don't know how long, but a good 10, 12 years. It's great. It really is. What a difference. It was good then, but it just shines now. So thank you to you and your colleagues for all of what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much, Kathy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
So moving on to 4.03 to 2025-26 Williams annual report. Michelle Frank.
Everyone, I'm so sorry, I don't have an Arlo goat to share with you. Very quick, thank you. Michelle Drake, Ed Services, to be with you, colleagues. I'm here to share with you the Williams monitoring update. You should have the board report with you, but we've had a moment to review that. If not, I do get to go through a brief update with you as to where we are as it relates to Williams monitoring. This is something that the MCBE is a must do as it relates to Williams and our 17 schools that were eligible in this last 3-year cohort. So thank you, Jefferson, for starting the slide deck for us. There is no action on tonight with regard to this update. This is simply an update. So the Williams settlement, as you are aware, this is something that we give this information to you once a year, typically during November timeframe. Is simply basics of education. This was the Williams settlement. It's instructional materials are standard aligned. We have qualified teachers who are appropriately credentialed. Facilities are clean, facilities are safe, accurate reporting on our school accountability report cards. And then of course, our uniform complaint procedures provide guidance on how we, any sort of complaints or complaints are manifested. Eligibility criteria are as connected back to the California Schools Dashboard. It's based on the 22-23 schools dashboard, comprehensive support and improvement, additional ATSI schools, and any schools that were 15% or more of teachers who did not have a clear credential. These are our schools who are eligible for Williams monitoring. We had 17 schools in our county within 7 school districts. Across the state, it was almost 3,400 schools that were listed as eligible. This is our timeline. We started in January of 2024. The CDE generated that list of eligible schools. And it was for this 3-year cohort that was listed from the 22-23 dashboard. And they generated that list in April of 2025. And we started our monitoring in August, where we met with our school districts. We went out to school sites, all 17 schools, and we provided the site visits where we looked at the facilities. We went into classrooms, we ensured that there was enough curriculum, there was sufficient materials, and we did those visits within the first 8 weeks of school. And now we are in those reporting, we're in this reporting period where we provide the districts with what is our reporting.
So that was our orientation meeting. We reviewed all of the different SARCs throughout. We reviewed all of the teacher assignments and their fit reports. We got to meet with their maintenance teams. Again, we went through their actual facilities and now we're in November where we have reviewed and we have done the reporting. And that is it. Very simple. Yes, Patty.
Thank you, Marilyn. I'm just wondering what makes the school eligible?
So eligible is around the 22-23 California schools dashboard. It's typically, this last year, it was imagined as 22-23, chronic absenteeism was very, very high during those times. We were asking kids to stay home during those years. It was right after the COVID, and remember, kids had the sniffles. So it's around chronic absenteeism. It could have been high suspension. So if you were qualified for CSI, HTSI, or that 15% teacher credentialing, then you could be eligible for emergency. And imagine the cohort prior to was almost 1,800 schools in California. Now we're up to 3,400 schools in California across the state that are qualified.
Thank you.
Nancy?
Exactly. What is the purpose of this? Is it to get what, I mean, when you're monitoring it, what are you monitoring it for? And is there some goal? I mean, what is it? Are you contributing anything? Are you just looking at something from afar? Exactly what is the end goal?
Yeah, so the end goal essentially is ensuring that our students have sufficient materials to learn from, that our teachers are qualified, that they are qualified to be teaching the subjects that they are teaching, that our facilities are safe, that our facilities are clean, that they have uniform complaint procedures up and available, that they are accessible and understandable, that I know exactly where to go if I have a complaint.
And do you do anything about it? I mean, say you see teachers that are incompetent, or you see facilities that have significant problems, you just report that at the end of 3 years, or do you actually have some ability to do something?
So there's a whole reporting mechanism that we are required to go through within the California system that we're involved in.
And do they, people that you're positing this to, actually do something about it?
It is a whole process within the system, yes.
But the system is set up to do something like
Yeah.
immediately, as opposed to just calculating this and putting out a report in 2 or 3 years?
Absolutely, yes.
And the school.
And it's a 3-year we're in a 3-year cohort, so it's an ongoing, so we are visiting these 17 schools every year.
And so the schools that you're visiting are receptive to whatever
Absolutely.
the state or whoever is going to send in assistance or commentary about. They work with them.
And yes, and as you read the report, you'll see that the findings, they're all being very responsive to any of the findings, which we're gonna have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you so much.
Oh, I have a sorry,
Yeah.
question. Is it unusual to have 17 schools in under Williams Act monitoring, or is this high or low?
This is high. And again, across the state, it is very high.
Because of the absenteeism?
And that is the majority of the SAY. And in fact, it's typically a 4-year or a 4-week period of time that we have to go out and visit the schools. This year, they gave us 8 weeks because it was so many schools that our team had to go out.
I don't see in this report, I don't see a report on absenteeism. How do you assess?
It's the CSI and the ATSI. I can give you specifically, I have that specific information as to why it was CSI or ATSI within the specific.
I'm sorry, can you say what CSI and
comprehensive support and instruction, and then ATSI I have the actual report for each of the schools that I think.
And what about suspensions?
And the suspensions would be within that as well.
Okay.
You have that, you'll make available to the board.
Absolutely.
And it's all on the dashboard, correct?
It is all in the dashboard. The dashboard would be a whole nother set of presentation that our team is happy to present to you,
Thank you very much.
which would be inclusive of the CSI and the team.
So I'm a little confused on this one, because every quarter we sit here and we get one of the staff members to come up and say, there's been no Williams complaints. For the last 20 years. And all of a sudden, there's all these kids in all the schools. So there's a little difference with what we're hearing, at least what I'm.
Yeah, those Williams are for our office, in
Okay.
the programs that we operate. She is countywide, all of our schools,
Okay,
and we have not.
okay, so we're not named in that list.
Yeah, this is the county office's obligation to monitor schools within the county. And so if you're in LA County, here we have 17, which is high. And then we do it, there's live visits that we do. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't been in the weeds of Williams monitoring in a while. But if something triggers a Williams monitoring report on the dashboard, we look at everything that's on the list.
We look
So,
at everything.
yes, if there's a problem with
There's
chronic
a-
absenteeism, we're also going to check for textbook sufficiency.
We go
And we
through
find
everything.
that stuff all, when you look at this report, all that stuff turns out fine because chronic absenteeism is separate from those things.
I have a question. Do you have a conclusion as to what the main issue is that's contributing to chronic absenteeism? Like the biggest number, like the biggest percentage of what it is that's causing this?
That is something that is ongoing, that is something that is, I think, a whole nother presentation in and of itself.
But you do know, you can have prepared to make it now, but do you know what the answer to the question is?
I think it's a longer answer than I think I'm prepared to deliver.
Is that on the dashboard?
That the reasonings of the chronic absenteeism is not on the dashboard. It just gives you the data within the
So how do you get that information? Is it only through you that we'd be able to find it?
so the data of the.
No, not the data, but the causations.
Well, the causations, there's a variety of reasons. So whether it's an excused, there's a variety of reasons for chronic absenteeism.
And it could look different in different districts, could have different reasons.
Variety of reasons.
And is that something that we are able to access that information to see somewhere?
The reason for the absences are much more limited. So if you have just pick a school, you're going to have excused absences and unexcused absences. Unexcused absences, just by their very nature, they don't call in and say, here's why I'm an unexcused absence. We're taking a trip or fill in the blank. So schools don't always know what the problem is. So when we do our Williams monitoring or our district assistants, we'll sit down at those districts and have a conversation with the school leaders and say, what do you think? And they'll look at, they'll go down the roll sheet and say, this family, I know that they went to France for 2 weeks. And suddenly that gets chronic absence. Or this family, they always go back to Central America this time. Or this family, we don't know. That kid just stopped coming for 2 weeks and we haven't figured it out yet. And then we work with those districts to make sure they do a deeper dive. And in a smaller school, you can usually know everybody and get those things figured out and then come up with a plan to try to make sure that the kids are starting to attend again.
It's definitely something that you look deeper into as far as who is absent and why are they absent? Is it an excused? Is it an unexcused? And exactly which student group is absent.
But the dashboard's not going to include a reason why the student was, it's just going to say unexcused absence.
Because it does give you an indication of who is being absent.
Well, there has been sort of like a general indication that a lot of Spanish-speaking students are not coming because of fear of whether it's ice raids or something or another like that along those lines. I don't know if that's true in Marin or not. Has there been a correlation to indicate that that's true?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Michelle, thank you so much. Okay. Good job. Okay, 4.14, update on the Ross Valley Charter School, Bree Brown.
I don't have a fancy hand. I am just here because we've headed to bringing a quarterly report about Ross Valley Charter School. And today I'm just here to say that they are still at 196. Their path is doing good and we don't have any updates. They're right on target for where they expected to be. And our next update will be in February, which will be more detailed because we'll have our first interim report and have an analysis of that then.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Question?
Good for him.
Thank you. Okay, now we are to action items. 5.1 board policy 3555 nutrition program compliance and board policy 51457 sexual harassment. John Letts.
Thank you. I think I'm the first talking for the evening, and before you are two draft board policies. One is brand new and one is an amendment. The brand new board policy is the nutrition program compliance policy. It's required because one, MCBE does have the student nutrition program, and two, they're receiving state and federal funding to operate it. This policy is necessary because it captures the written procedures and complies with the requirements pertaining to civil rights, non-discrimination, addressing complaints regarding non-compliance with food service delivery. We did not have that policy in place previously, because when we remember our food and nutrition program is relatively new, so we're getting everything over. So this is one of those requirements. So we'd like to get that implemented as quickly as possible. The second is an amendment. It is an amendment to the sexual harassment policy. This was before you for the first time in December of 24. It was an update to the Title IX regulations, but then the Title IX regulations of 24 were repealed. So now we're going back to the Title IX regulations of 2020, which was exactly what we had in place in December. So you'll see that this is an update and amendment, and we'll refer to based on our earlier conversation. You can see where the strikeouts are from what was there previously to what we're recommending. And it's very simple. We're just removing the language of the previous regulations, have that additional language and going back to the regulations of 2020. The good news is exactly how it read previously in the fourth. I think the most important thing is here is we're asking you to waive second reading because we need to get these implemented as soon as possible. And again, based on earlier conversation, you're looking at more policy 99.9, almost I would say 100% of this is ed code and it's required. There's no real wiggle room here. And so we're asking for this to be implemented.
Yeah, any questions from the board? No questions, okay, and I guess no public comment.
Move approval.
Okay, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you so much, John. Okay, next 5.02, amendment to 25-26 board meeting calendar, annual organizational meeting, January 13th, 2026. John Farrell.
Yes, and we covered this to a certain extent in our meeting in the recruitment earlier today. And that's basically moving the annual organizational meeting to January 13th, 2026, so that the bylaws will be in place by the time that meeting comes up. Is that right?
So the bylaws will be in place.
We hope to-
More time for the board to review and fully adopt them so they're in place for them.
So coming next.
From Lynn's positive.
Are there any? Okay, no public comment. Regular motion for title. So move. A second. All in favor? Aye. Close. Okay, thank you. So now 5.03, salary schedule for the county superintendent of schools. Okay. As board president, I ask that this item be added to the agenda for the full board's consideration. Under the California Constitution and the Ed Code, one of the County Board of Education's primary duties is to establish the salary for the county superintendent of schools. While we have the authority to increase the superintendent's salary, we're not empowered to decrease his salary. Traditionally, the board has fulfilled this duty by approving annual increases to the superintendent's salary. Generally speaking, these increases have been consistent with the same increase that was afforded other than management employees in the county office. This past year, the county office successfully established salary schedules for all classes of employees. Salary schedules provide clarity and consistency from year to year. I'm recommending that we do the same for the county superintendent. In recommending this schedule, I reviewed the annual salaries for all Marin County superintendents. This salary schedule provides the superintendent with an approximate 5% increase over his current salary, which is consistent with the increases received by all Marin County office employees this year. For each year thereafter, the schedule affords an additional 5% increase, which is also consistent with employee increases to the extent that they've been negotiated. Some schedules do not go out further than the 26-27 school year. Finally, this schedule includes language that states the board's intention to ensure that the county superintendent receives at least 5% more than the highest paid superintendent in Marin County. As the official responsible for the oversight of all Marin County schools, I recommend that we recognize the stature of the position by ensuring that the salary is commensurate with the responsibilities of the office. In the fiscal year 2030-2031, when the schedule expires, it will be incumbent on the board president to conduct a salary survey of Marin County superintendents to establish the next steps on the schedule.
I have a question. Maybe I just did not hear it correctly, but did you say that the county, the MCOEs for my superintendent should at least have an increase of 5% over the highest other school district salary?
Yes.
Because when I look at the Tamaulipas school district salary, she has 328,338. And John is getting 328,337. That is equal.
Remember, that is the current, you're looking at current salaries.
Which this one?
Yes,
Yeah.
but the
Okay.
salary schedule will show an increase to the current salary by 5%.
For John, how about the other?
We do not control their salaries, their salaries stays.
Okay.
Marilyn?
I would like to make a motion to approve this move. And it's with the assumption that and that's been addressed, I believe, in your presentation, that comps were performed, and so we have an idea what
Yes.
others are paying for the same job.
I have a question. Is this for not just for an annual increase? You talked about this is gonna be in place for 5 years,
Yes.
but then what happens if there is poor performance? How can you give a salary increase for 5 years without even knowing what the performance is gonna be? If John isn't the superintendent, if there is an election and he chooses not to run or somebody else wins, you could wind up with somebody that was making $151,000, like maybe he was making before he became the MCOE superintendent.
Well, this,
And then you don't have people that even have commensurate experience. And so you'd be paying them close to $500,000 with benefits and have somebody who may not be able to do some of the things that were required. And not only that, in order to run for office, you have to put up a percentage of what the salary is. And by this kind of an increase, it would be very difficult for somebody to run for office if you made such a significant jump. And I just think this, if you're gonna do something for a year, and then you have an annual decision, that's one thing, but to do something for 5 years, I think is uncalled for, and I don't think it's unprecedented.
Marilyn, if I may ask, in order to have that question properly answered, could we ask Danielle? I think that's a separate act, than the salary that we're addressing now.
Is your question, Member McCarthy, what if the board wanted to have a different salary for a different superintendent?
Well, not just that, but also that it's unprecedented to give someone on any of the school boards, they don't do that. They don't give somebody, a superintendent, and a salary increase for 5 years.
I'm sorry, I believe your original question is, how to deal with poor performance, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's a number of questions. It's not just one, it's the gamut of questions that are raised in this context. Number one, it's unprecedented to give a superintendent of any of these districts a salary increase for 5 years. They give them for 1 year, and in most cases, that's based on their performance. That's what they make a decision on in giving a salary increase. They don't just come up with a number and say, we're gonna give them 5%. If they've got half of their students that are failing and they've got terrible results and they've got bad discipline and they've got absenteeism, the question is do they automatically get 5%? I don't think that's encouraging good performance. I think it's just like an automatic.
Right, there are a couple important distinctions here. So this board, unlike a district school board, does not evaluate the superintendent.
Your mouth, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
This board, unlike a school district board, does not evaluate the superintendent or tie compensation to performance. The second issue I would just clarify is it is not unprecedented or uncommon for a superintendent to have a salary schedule. That's very common. And you wouldn't see 5 years in a school district because by law, school districts can't have a superintendent contract, which is again, a different function than what this board is doing for more than 4 years.
Well, the usually, like Elon Musk, he's getting $1 trillion salary tied to performance. And there are certain goals that he has to meet before he gets that $1 trillion. So whereas we don't evaluate his performance, we do by every year making a decision as to whether or not he gets an increase.
I believe it was Elon Musk, and I believe that's irrelevant.
Yeah, let me answer this question, because Curtis is saying, we don't vote on his salary increase every year?
If you are going to increase the salary, then you would vote on it, yeah,
Right.
but you do not have authority to decrease it.
Of course, that I know, but we have the authority each year to increase his salary and to
Yes.
make a decision on what that percentage should be. And what I'm saying is that I don't know of a situation with any CEO anywhere where you, wind up, and it's nothing's a union negotiation, but where you blindly give somebody a 5% increase without any consideration of any other factors, which maybe you're not entitled to evaluate the performance, but you are evaluating it by making a decision as to what the salary increase is going to be. And if you get somebody who's not capable or where there's been significant failures or significant problems, you're stuck with a salary schedule that people will vote on.
Nancy, are you familiar with the STEP system and teacher salaries?
Teacher salaries is a different story. Those are usually union negotiated, and there are certain types of steps and they're evaluated. But that's not the same for the CEO. The CEO is always in a different position based on their performance. Steps are something that happens with teachers where performance sometimes isn't an issue. It's how long you've been there in many cases. But in this situation, you're talking about taking the responsibility of giving away a 5% increase on a very high salary to someone who you don't even know that's going to be in the next year or two. And I think that that's a foolish decision to make, and I don't see the need for it. It's not like he's going to quit. He's not going to leave his job because we don't vote for 5 years. So why would we do that?
I agree. Can I jump in? I agree with part of what Nancy's saying. I think a 1 year amount is fine, but I think John's running for superintendent next year. What if he loses and a 25-year-old with no experience is elected into office? We're going to pay that 25-year-old with a bachelor.
Because when you have a chance to reset the salary, anytime a new superintendent comes in, they would not have this.
So what's the purpose of the salary schedule then?
Well, it's a good, I asked the question.
I don't understand the purpose.
That's a valid question.
Yeah, I think 1 year is fine. I would prefer to see comparable salaries from the Sonoma County Superintendent of Education, you know, in surrounding districts. I would like that metric before approving this, but I would not vote to approve this 5-year salary schedule. I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think there's any purpose.
Can I just hear from maybe Marilyn, and we were in discussions, like,
Well,
why did this come up in?
John, you
What was the reason why we're seeing this there, just the
you,
background?
I'd rather John give the background because he gave, what he did was he compared other county superintendent salaries as well as what the superintendent salaries were in Vermont. Can you talk a little about the county superintendent salaries in different counties that was?
Yeah,
That's,
so we did look statewide just to get an idea of comps. And then we looked at similar counties and then
I'm sorry, John, I need you to talk louder.
similar counties and then neighboring counties. And the reason for the 5 years is because we wanted, it was aligning really with what we did with our administrative team. So we put our administrative team on salary schedules the first time with steps, and it's 5% across each step. So each year, our administrative team is getting that 5%. And so what we were trying to do is, in working with the board president, is just align that same principle where it would not have to come to this board. It is a salary schedule that you're adopting, just like we have our my salary schedule and all administrative salary schedules. It's set and it just moves. And so the only time we'd have to come back to this board would be one, if there was a new superintendent, we would just wipe it clean and you could start over. Or this superintendent reaches that top tier, and then we would have to decide what that looks like. And really liked how it did align with, when you were comparing it, the sheet to the district superintendents. It is exactly 5% higher than the highest superintendent.
Can I comment on something? Because something, so again, historically, the value, the statement was always for the last 25 years. Sorry to keep bringing up this, but I always remember in the boardrooms that we were trying to get our superintendent or other positions within our organization somewhere in the top third of what was going on in Marin. You know, but it wasn't 5% above the number one, the highest person. Correct me if I'm wrong for people who have been here, but our goal as a county office was to try to be in that top third, somewhere in that sweet spot. But it was never to be 5% top. So why did that come out?
Yeah, because that approach is for our staff. So that was not for the county superintendent, that was our staff that's in the field being worked, and that's what we want to be in comparison to.
So then the question is do we want our superintendent to be at the top? And that's an important question. I mean, I could go, you know, that's a really interesting thing to think about. You know, do we want to put that out there or do we not? And so to me, that's one big question.
Yeah, and that's a great question, but just remember, if you adopt this, it would not be at the top until the 4th year.
I'd like to table this matter and see if you can have some further information about this. And I'd like to know, for example, whether or not you did all these comparisons for other county supervisors. Do they have theirs out for 5 years? Does Sonoma have it for 5 years? Does Santa Clara have it for 5 years?
Sonoma County Superintendent has a 4s.
What about Santa Clara?
I don't know Santa Clara, but I know Santa Cruz was also, actually, I believe Santa Cruz is 5.
What about San Francisco?
Well, I think
So
Nancy, I think Nancy's making a fair point. I would like to see data before voting on this issue. I'd like to see what other county superintendents of education are earning before approving this.
So I'd like to move to table this to our next meeting so that we can try to get some of this information from everybody in the interim. Is that it?
Yeah, and more discussion. And I'd just say that, but I'd also like to have these 2 questions answered. Right, where are the other superintendents related to their districts? And the salary range, you know, over years, you know, is it half the counties that are doing this? Is it just 3 counties? Is it the standard of support for the superintendents in the state?
Doing what?
Having it up.
having a schedule like this and trying to get it up to the 5% above everybody else, idea. Where are others falling in? Because I thought it was more of a humble approach to keep our superintendent somewhere in the top third, but not yet go out there and say, hey, we've got the top paid guy.
Well, we also can't control, like, I mean, what if the Mill Valley School District wants to pay their superintendent $750,000, right? That's not within our control. I know, John, it's very unlikely, but we have to consider unlikely things, right? Maybe Tony Thurmond retires and decides he wants to be the superintendent of Bolinas School District. I don't know. I think these are, we're stewards of public funds and to make these decisions carefully.
And to your point, that piece was 5% above, that does not come into play until the person on that salary schedule reaches the last step. And I think that's an important distinction. Because John would have to be in office for actually most terms to be done.
I promise myself I wouldn't weigh in on this, but I feel like I'm a good argument too. I'm not making an argument to do with totally the board's decision. I'm good no matter what. But the 5% was, we gave 5% raises for everybody this year. Superintendent always waits till last, and then it's the last person. So that was the request I made. And then to make it such that there wasn't a constant conversation of salary schedule was going to be, the suggestion was to have a salary schedule put in place. And then the whole idea of 5% was, or that it should be slightly higher than the highest local superintendent is an issue of credibility. Like the county superintendent does not want to be in the position of, I'm lower paid than, or it doesn't have to be any county superintendent. I'm lower paid than somebody else, and so they don't have to listen to me as much like my office. That's the philosophy. Although that's not what I'm advocating. I'm just saying 5%. That was the basic thing. That's what the raise has been across the county office. But I'm totally not asking the board's decision.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. I just wanted to address something that I think you said, Curtis. This has come before us every year.
Right.
So this has always been on our agenda.
For Mary Jane?
As an agenda.
Yes. For 1 year.
No, it was always.
Yeah, I am. Once a year makes sense.
I think, I'm not sure about the Robert's Rules of Order, but if I made a motion to table and it was seconded, I think there has to be a vote.
I'd like to add one thing. One of the things that was really important, however it happens, is that I felt strongly that it be data driven because it makes it every year the way we've done it in the past. I mean, I wasn't particularly comfortable with how we did it in the past. So we were given a number and asked if that number made sense. And we didn't really have a discussion. This is pretty much the first time we had a conversation about it, I think.
Also a reason to have.
But I do think if it's data driven, it's not that it makes sense to look at what other county superintendents are making, and decide how we feel as a board about whether there are 2 points of view here. One is this is about optics, as they say, right? One is being in the top third with the optic of what was called humility, right? That and the other way is that this is considered the top job of superintendent, and so the top job should get paid topper than the superintendents of school districts. So there's 2 ways to look at that. So I think we need to find a way so that every year it's not a discussion based on people's opinion. It's more because our job is not to evaluate John and assign his salary according to how he's performing, Nancy. That's not our job.
But the job is to vote on the salary.
Yes.
And we have a fiduciary responsibility.
Right.
Yes.
I think Marilyn, and I'm just gonna ask, who is the parliamentarian? Because I think that once the motion has been made to table and it has been seconded, you must have a vote on it before there can be any further discussion. Who is the parliamentarian? Is there
Okay.
anybody,
Nancy,
do you know the
do
answer,
you
Jenny?
want to table it?
And I seconded the
Oh,
motion.
she seconded it, so I don't think that going on and on and on about it
Right.
is appropriate. I think that Robert's rules says
Yes.
that it requires a vote on it when there's any further discussion.
I'd like to know if there's a problem with tabling it. Are we on a time crunch for a reason here?
No, we're not, but I think we need to be responsive to that. I don't know, Danielle, do you know the answer to that question?
I'm sorry,
Should you have discussion after?
Should you have discussion after there's a second?
After the second of a motion to table.
I don't know precisely on the motion to table. I know you can have discussion after a second, but I don't know if there's a different rule for motion to
I
table.
think there is. But I think ask, looking in my phone and
Yes, that's not been always successful.
find out, but
There is no rush on this, so obviously the board needs time and we can.
Well, I'd like to know how other people.
There is a time issue in the road, because Colorado is coming up.
Oh,
And
okay, right.
the salary has an impact
Yes.
on what the final fees can be for anybody else to know.
Right, so filing is in the first order.
right, so we have to December.
I'll move it to December.
Yes, so the filing fee depends on the salary. So it needs to be decided before that.
We don't have shirts and what.
So, do I want to hear Lee or Sticky? Do you have a comment about tabling it versus? voting?
I agree that I'd like more information. I agree with Curtis's comment that I'd like to know some of the 3 districts that have 5-year stepped plans. And the sporting operating, I get that it's a nice thing, it's easy, but it feels like it's not annoying, there's been a review. And that's one of the few
Okay,
responsibilities we have.
all right.
I'm not sure why we're
There
changing
can
it.
be no further discussion on the motion to table because the motion itself is not debatable. Once the motion to table is made and seconded, the chair should immediately put it to a vote. The purpose of tabling is to stop discussion on the main motion and pause the process, not to continue debating the tabling motion itself. So I think I have to call for a vote.
If a majority of. the
Yes,
board
I made a
is-
motion and
if-
I think Jill seconded it.
Jill seconded it, but if the majority of the board wishes to continue discussing this, you could simply vote down the motion to table and continue.
That
discussing.
may be your choice, but I just know that that is the rule. I thought from Robert's rule.
Call for the vote. All in favor of tabling, raise your hand.
I,
Okay, one. One, 2, I see 4 votes. Raise your hand. Okay, I see 4 votes to table. So
it passes.
majority
If
against.
I could comment why I voted against. I voted against because my experience in the business world is exactly what was this motion. In my own case and much of my industry, albeit not education, we do this tabling, we do 5-year negotiations on salaries. And it's always been our goal to pay that, in my case, 10% more, but 5% more here certainly is reasonable. And it's for the sake of the planning of the organization. And this is for my represented and my unrepresented employees, and that's the case in my industry as well.
And that's improper to continue to discuss this matter based on the vote.
Is it an option? Or would it make it more difficult?
That's true.
The motion passes.
The motion
Yeah.
passed, it's over.
Is it an option to have a different? This is what we're voting on for 5 years, so it's not an option. to vote on right now.
It's not part of the agenda.
Okay.
To be
So
violation
the
of
motion
grounds.
is tabled. Okay,
So this will come on the meetings.
With additional data that we were lost.
And John, you can direct those questions. to
the
me.
math taking for that. That's helpful. Marin County Board of Education, any board member?
Yes, I would like to report that the stymieing of a dialogue runs against what happened this morning in a meeting where almost after Board Member McCarthy showed up more than an hour late, More than half of the morning is taken up with her filibustering, wasting a great deal of our time. Thank you.
I would like to ask that the member be disciplined for casting aspersions in her report. That was not a report, that was an attempt to insult me personally. And to make it appear as if I somehow or another was delayed for any reason other than having been lost trying to get here after I made every effort to get here. So I think.
I would
we
not
should
have
be
made a
disciplined.
comment had I not happened repeatedly, and I would say ice cream as my discipline.
Right. I think she should be disciplined.
Call for order.
I have a report.
Okay, what is?
I have looked at many different organizations and public entities in Marin County, and so many of them are allowing there to be responses by Zoom. If you want to have a democratic organization, I think the best way is to allow for the public to be able to make public comment by Zoom. It will take no additional funds to do so. And so many of the public boards, including the school boards, are allowing members of the community to raise questions. They can't drive here, they can't get here. Our meetings are held at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Excuse me,
And I'm going
this is
to,
not a board report. This is expressing your opinion. That's not a board report.
well, the report is
No.
is that I'm reporting to you that many other organizations do that.
Okay.
That is done by many school boards, many community.
We can discuss that as part of our bylaw discussion, maybe we can.
Okay, right, my report is that I'm going to make efforts to get this board to comply. And that I'm going to get the names of all of the different boards in order to present them, and hopefully that will be considered at the next meeting.
Cindy.
So as John said, we're interested in professional development, and I'd like to share upcoming training opportunities from the Association for California County Boards of Education. There are a couple, and I think you may get some emails, but I've been asked as the representative to share them out. These are all on Zoom. On Wednesday, December 11th at noon, there's a special presentation on newly published juvenile court and community schools data reports. Which is, they'll have a presenter from the California Department of Education and a senior policy advisor. And this is intended to help board members assess how well their county office is serving court and community school students. Another upcoming webinar on Sunday, December 15th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. is on building trustee excellence, it should be board member excellence. And on charter renewals and appeals. And this is prep for handling charter school renewals and appeals. And then the other is in January on Tuesday, January 14th from noon to 1. And this is learner portrait feedback. It's a session with a group called the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. They are looking for county board members. It's what? Oh, sorry. Well, hopefully I can share. And they are asking for board member input, which will shape their recommendations in March of 2026 to the State Board of Education, which really is the state's definition of student success. So this is your opportunity to provide input into what will become policy. And last but not least, on November 13th, it was recent, there was a really great webinar, which is available on the ACCBE.org website on navigating the Brown Act for county offices of education. An excellent presenter. It was really, really great. And he also talked about conflicts of interest. Thank you.
You want to send that out or give it to John to provide that information, particularly to the last item?
And just a reminder to tag team with you a little bit on that. The California CCEE is the Marin County Office of Education is the administrative agent for that. So they're under our and in that relationship for how long?
I think we're getting close to 10 years.
Yeah, so 10 years we've been the sponsor of the work that's going on, and Isha's been leading that.
I have a comment. So Cindy, if most of these are via Zoom, can you resend to the members of all?
It'll all be at Zoom, I'll send it over, we'll get it out to all of you, since I can't email all of you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have an MCSBA report, I just want to share.
I have a report from Lee, yeah. And I actually wanted everybody to stand up and dance a little to ease the tension in this room, but I'm not gonna do that, so. So anyway, I have a report for the Efficiency and Effectiveness Collaborative Committee. We met on October 8th and also met on November 12th. On October 8th, the E2 meeting was, it was reported that the Food for All Alignment grant has worked to increase food consumption in many school districts across Marin. There was also a countywide meeting for a middle school athletic program that is being considered and is under development. And then in the November 18 E2 meeting, we found out that the athletic program is in fact moving forward and is scheduled to begin in the fall of 2026. This was the one which was discussed in the prior meeting. And then it was also, the meeting information was also provided about a countywide collaboration that is taking place between all the districts regarding checking employment preferences for certificated substitutes under AB 2534. Danielle made a really great presentation. So basically, and the next meeting is going to be on March 2026. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lee. Anyone else? Okay, I have an MCSBA report, Marin County School Boards Association. The executive committee of our group established an ad hoc committee to focus on the development of a professional learning series for next year, 25-26. And we had a really good informative new school year meeting here at MCOE on October 15th with Gretchen Shipley. And she talked about it was really good. If she ever comes back and speaks again, you guys have to go if you weren't there. She talked about AI and the implementation and integration of AI in education in a safe and responsible way. And I didn't know there was so much until I heard her, and she could have gone on and I was fascinated. And the questions were really good, and the audience was like, kind of just mesmerized the whole time. It was really, really good. So her name is Gretchen Shipley, and we got a chance to listen to her. And then we have 2 events upcoming to save the date. One is January 29th. There's going to be a mid-year meeting and gathering at MCOE, and we're still working on the topic. And then February 11th is the JLAC, the Joint Legislative Advisory Committee, the JLAC Action Day in Sacramento at the state capitol. It's a terrific opportunity. If anyone here hasn't gone and you have time, I highly recommend it. A chance to hear directly from the legislators what's going on and to be able to communicate our priorities for the county. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Thank you. Yeah, with no objection to the meeting is. Oh no, it was very serious. I just need how many. I know. It was